Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video, this time around for Ys Origin on the PlayStation 4. No game here because this is a digital title, even though there's supposed to be a physical release. Either I can import the game if I want the Asian version physically, or I think Limited Run Games is going to have a physical release. So I may do that. I'm not a big fan of Limited Run Games and their whole limited crappy scheme. But digitally it was fine. I played this game, and it's funny because I already owned the game on Steam. Never got around to playing the game, and the PS4 version came not too long ago, so I decided to buy it during one of those. I think it was somewhat discounted in one of the sales. So I pulled the trigger, and here we are talking about Ys Origin on the PS4. It's a fantastic game. I really enjoyed, and I want to say it's one of my favorite RPGs that I played, and it's very funny to say that because the game is very simple, and it's very linear, and it's just simple in terms of graphics, simple in terms of the story, simple in terms of the the gameplay. The design of the game is extremely linear, so those are elements that usually don't jive together with great RPGs. Perhaps you'll never see this game alongside games like Final Fantasy VII, Chrono Trigger, Xenoblade Chronicles. Those are RPGs that are always up there. They're considered masterpieces, and Ys Origin is probably not in that tier, but that's perfectly fine. Like I said, I had a great time with the game because of its simplicity, and I really fell in love with the characters and the story and whatnot, and it has me pumped into trying more Ys games. I did beat Memories of Celceta a couple months ago, and I'm ready to move on into other Ys games now. They're just fun to play RPGs that I really enjoy. Now I do have to say that Ys Origins, you have two characters to play with at the beginning of the game. I did beat the game with Unica Tova, which is the female protagonist of the game, and I'm currently halfway through the game playing with Ugo on the second playthrough. The playthroughs are basically the same, but the story tidbits for each character are different. So there's that incentive of replaying the game with a different character, even though most of the gameplay or most of the environments and the level design is going to be basically the same with the other character. There are variations in terms of gameplay. Unica, she is more of a melee character. She has an axe as a weapon, so you have to be close encounter basically with enemies, whereas Ugo, he's a magic user, so you can shoot projectiles far away, and there are different gameplay mechanics that really draw you into replaying the game. And another good thing is that the game is not necessarily very long. I want to say my Unica playthrough maybe took me 13 hours, and I was pretty thorough, even though the game is very linear, so it's kind of hard to miss all of the upgrades. It's very hard to miss them because the game is very linear. There are not many places that you can explore, so it's very easy to quote-unquote 100% complete this game as far as getting all the collectibles and all the upgrades and whatnot. Yeah, my Unica playthrough took me, I want to say 12 to 13 hours, and my Ugo playthrough is going to probably take around the same. That's one of the good things about the game. Playing it a second time to see what happens with in the other storyline is not a pain to go through because the game is short and it's fun. The gameplay is super addicting in this game, and I believe there's a third character that you unlock after you beat the game with the two main protagonists. So I'm gonna find myself playing the game for a third time, and supposedly I think you get the true ending by beating the game with all three characters. So that's another thing that I guess you can call this an early or first impressions video, because I technically did not beat the game in order to get the true ending, but I was very pleased as far as the just the overall story with Unica's storyline. The game is very engaging. You always want to play through the game just to see what happens next, and I really like the ending, And I'm having a lot of fun right now playing through Ugo's story, finding different tidbits as far as the story, finding more about his character, and of course his ending is going to be different, so I'm very much looking forward to getting into that. As far as the story, this is a very interesting Ys game because it marks the beginning of as far as chronologically speaking, this is the first game in the series as far as the story, so it's very interesting to see how everything happened. Basically, the game actually takes place in the land of Ys, the ancient land of Ys, where it was a very prosperous land, and all of a sudden it was attacked by demons all of a sudden. So the goddesses, in order to protect Ys, I think they gather pretty much all the population in this shrine, and then the shrine was elevated into the skies to protect the people. But the demons, they started building this tower, the damned tower, in order to reach that elevated piece of land. And that's when the game starts, basically, because the two goddesses that are part of the the kingdom of Ys or whatever, they're missing. So a group of knights and wizards are sent, or sorcerers are sent down to back down to the east, basically, in order to search for the goddesses. So that's when the game starts. Your mission is basically finding out what happened to the goddesses. Why did they come down? Why did they descended into this place infested by demons, basically. So the story is pretty interesting, and as you progress through a game, the story develops, and it's very fun. Another fun thing about this game are the characters. You meet different characters throughout the game. They're able to make you understand the story, the progression through the story, and it's just very interesting learning about each character. And the art direction in this game is beautiful. When the characters show up on your screen, they're drawn in a very beautiful way. So that's another thing that I really enjoyed about Ys Origin. Just the overall art direction and how the characters were drawn is just fantastic. And the game, as far as the graphics, this game has a very unique art style where the game looks like a retro, I want to say like a 16-bit type of game, but upgraded with graphics. It almost looks like a PS1/16-bit game, which is very interesting. There are 3D models and environments mixed in the game as well. So a very unique direction, considering this is a quote-unquote modern game. I think it was released in 2006, I want to say. So it's a very interesting approach that Falcom took in order to develop this game. So and overall, obviously the gameplay, this is where the game shines, in my opinion. This is a very easy pick up and play type of RPG game where, again, depending on the protagonist or character you pick, you can have attack as you can play it as a hack and slash game with Unica, or you can play it in a different way with Ugo, shooting projectiles or your magic, keeping your distance from the enemies. So the gameplay is very addicting. You gain experience, you get points, you level up your characters, you become more stronger. You can upgrade your different skills. You have different skills that you can use in order to aid your regular attacks in the game. So those are very fun to use, but you have to keep an eye on your magic meter and whatnot that allows you to, it limits you on how much you can use your special skills and abilities. So it's a very addicting game because it's such a quick-paced game, and that's something that I really enjoyed about this game. And the game is not very long, like I mentioned before, so it's a very compact game. And for being a linear game, a linear RPG that it's short, I think it does its job beautifully. It's a very well put together package, and again, this is probably one of my favorite RPGs that I played, just because on how enjoyable the experience was, to the point that I'm again replaying the game with the second character, and I definitely plan on doing so once I unlock the third character. Just the gameplay overall is very enjoyable, very easy to pick up and play. Now the environments themselves can be a little bit repetitive, because basically the entirety of the game plays in the dam tower, I believe it's called. So everything looks a lot like the same. The tower does have different areas, like certain floors are, have like a lava theme to it. There are floors that have like a quicksand in it, so there's a little bit of variation in terms of how the each floor or level of the tower looks, but for the most part, you're always enclosed in that environment, and you see a lot of similarities in terms of the architecture and how things are laid out. So this is not the most, I guess, beautiful or varied RPG when it comes to environments and graphics, but again, for me, it did the job very well, and it's just a beautiful way. And there's always a sense of progression, because as you end up going up the different levels in the tower, you feel accomplished, and you're getting closer to the end, and you're getting closer to finding out more about the story and why things happen, or why things are the way they are. So there's always this ever growing sense of completion, ever growing sense of just accomplishment as you go up the tower. So that's something that I really enjoyed about this game. And this game sparked my interest once again in the Ys series. So I did play Ys 1 and 2 previously on Steam, and I wasn't a big fan of the run and bump mechanics, the very old school mechanics. So I put myself a goal to beat those games, to go back and beat those games on the PSP, and in fact I'm doing that right now. I'm playing those games, and I have to say that Ys Origin, now that I play the game, now that I've seen the story, I'm having a better time playing Ys 1. So hopefully I'll get that game beat sometime pretty soon. It's a very short game, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem, and then move on to Ys 2. So and then finally, the soundtrack. I don't need to spend too much talking about this, because all you need to know is that the soundtrack is amazing. Nihon Falcom, they always do a great job with the Ys games, and Ys Origins is no exception to the rule. The soundtrack is just fantastic, amazing, and just an overall very fun and pleasant game to listen to. So overall, my impressions on Ys Origin, it's a very fun game. One of my favorite RPG games. I don't know where in my list it would rank, but it will be a very high up on my list, despite being a very un-RPG type of game. It's very linear, it's very short. There's not a ton of character development or progression, but again, it's the gameplay that it's very addicting, and it's just a very well put together package by Falcom. So I really had a good time with Ys Origin, and I highly recommend you guys trying these, or to try out this game, which is available on again PC and PS4 digitally for now, and then the game will supposedly have some kind of physical release. You can import the game from Asia, or you can wait for limited run to release the game physically. But overall, Ys Origin, highly recommended if you guys enjoyed quick and fast-paced RPGs. So once again, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you all later.